Hey everybody, Miss Moore here, and today we're going to work on some writing and just practicing and reviewing the important things for us to remember when we're writing. And today I'm going to look at a picture prompt just like you do sometimes when we do writing right now. Is you look at a picture and you have to come up with a story all on your own about what you think is happening in the picture. So I'm gonna let you see the picture and then we'll get started. Alright, so this is my picture that I chose just for today. And it's a picture of these two kids in the woods, and it looks like they built a fort all by themselves. So I thought this was a really cool picture to do a writing piece on, because I know y'all get a lot of cool pictures to write about, but I wanted to pick my own today, so I picked this one because I think it's going to make a fun story. Alright friends, before we start writing just yet, we want to make sure that we remember our rules about writing and the steps that we follow when we write. And the first one that we do, which is right here, is we start with an uppercase letter. So when we start our sentence for the first time, or after we put a period or an exclamation mark or a question mark, we start our sentence with an uppercase or a capital letter. So when a letter lander takes a big deep breath, we're writing that uppercase letter, the bigger version of our letters that we know. And then after we write a word, we have to put a space using our finger, because all your spacemans I think are still at school. So you got to use your finger to make sure you have space between your words. And when we're done writing a sentence, we put a punctuation at the end. So we could put a period if we're just kind of telling someone something plainly, or we can put an exclamation point if we're really, really excited, or a question mark if we're writing a question. And we put these at the end of our sentences. Do they go in the middle? Nope. They go at the end. Just like our uppercase letters. Do they go in the middle of a word? No. They go at the very beginning of a sentence, or they start someone's name. Alright, and then our last rule is to make sure our letters sit on the lines the right way, because we don't want our letters flying away. Think about if you wrote a G. Would you put a G? Would you let the G sit on this line like that? No, that looks really silly. We know that G goes like that. It's been a long time since we've written anything together, so I might make some mistakes. So as I'm writing, I'm going to take little breaks to check on my work to make sure I've been following our rules, and I want you to pay attention in case you see me make a mistake. Okay? That way we can fix it. Alright, I think I'm ready to write now. And I know I'm so excited about writing a story about the kids who built a fort in the woods that I really want to draw a picture about them, but we draw our pictures at the very end. That way they match the story that we end up writing. Because if we draw the picture first, sometimes we write a different story and then our picture doesn't really match our story. So we want to do our picture at the very end. That way it matches our story that we wrote. Okay, so thinking back to the picture of the kids, I know they built a fort, but I mean, just looking at the picture, you know that. So I want to think of something different to tell the readers of my story. So I might say, starting with a capital letter, because we're writing the start of a sentence, I might say, these kids built a fort. Where is somewhere they could have built their fort? I think it'd be really cool to build a fort on top of a mountain. I think that would be such a cool place that these kids might have built their fort. So that's what I decided to write. If you saw this picture, you might think it would be even cooler if they built their fort in their backyard, or at the beach, or at their grandparents' house. There's lots of different places they could have built this fort, but this is just where I chose. So I remembered to start with a capital T. It's a little hard to see, but I remembered to start with my capital T. I've got spaces between my words. That one could probably have a little more space. And I know sometimes this is a little confusing. I know sometimes that when we start writing on a new line, our brain thinks that we're writing a new sentence. But I wasn't writing a new sentence. I just ran out of room on this line and had to move down here to finish what I was wanting to say, and then ended my sentence with a period. So I didn't need to capitalize this just because I started on a new line. If it had all fit on this first line and I put a period, then I would have put a capital letter over here. But because I'm just finishing what I was already saying, and it's not someone's name, I didn't need to put a capital letter there. Alright, so I'm going to keep writing. Flip my camera around and put it on my handy dandy stack of soup cans so that you can mostly see what I'm writing. Alright, so let's see. These kids built a fort on top of a mountain. Let's see. Do I think the kids live in the fort? Like they don't have a home and they live in the fort? Nah, I don't really think that. I think that I gotta start with my capital letter. Make sure I got a good space in here. I didn't do so good on the first line, so I'm gonna make it better this time. They have a house, but built this fort for fun. All right, so let's go over what I wrote and make sure it makes sense and that I did everything right. All right, so let's see. I did start with a capital letter, but wait a minute. That doesn't look right. Is that where a lowercase e is supposed to go? No, I gotta fix him. So I'm just going to erase and make sure he sits on the ground. Now he doesn't go past the planes lines. Much better. That looks a lot better. So I have, they have a house. Uh-oh. It looks like my letters are flying away again. They're floating. Those letters don't float, do they? No, they don't float. So let me fix them. And make sure they're sitting on the ground and not floating away. There we go. I'm going to fix my S too because he's kind of going over the planes lines when he also needs to fit right in between the planes and the ground. All right, cool. So they have a house. There's some shade, but built this fort for fun. Awesome. Oh, that's not how a T looks on a line, does it? Is my T supposed to be that tiny? No, I gotta fix it. I'm gonna erase them and remember that a T starts at the sky, goes all the way to the ground, and crosses at the plains line. That looks so much better. So they have a house, but built this fort for fun. Am I done yet? Did I fix everything? No. I gotta put something so that you know I'm done with my sentence. So I'm gonna put a period. Alright. Let's see. I'm gonna write, I think, one more sentence, and then I think I've told a pretty good story. Let's see. What do I want to say next? Maybe I could tell my reader about something that the kids like to play in their fort. Alright, so I might say they do my finger space like I'm gonna flip my page over because I need some more lines. They like to play. Let's see, what's a game that would be fun to play if I had my own fort in the woods and I had some friends around to play with? I know a lot of y'all really like to play house. I think a lot of y'all like to play house, especially on the playground at school and with your friends. So maybe these kids, they like to play house. In their fort. Awesome. Let's see. They like to play house in their fort. All right, let's make sure I started everything okay on this side. All right, I got my capital letter. That's good. They got some space. Like, my K looks a little funny. I might need to go back and fix him. That's better. They like to play house in their fort. Perfect. All right, I think that's a good looking sentence. Now, I bet you there's probably like one more thing I could say about their fort. What's something silly about their fort? Maybe their fort sometimes, let's use different words. Okay, so this time I'm starting on a new line and I'm starting a sentence, like a brand new sentence, because I don't have room over here to start writing the word I want to write. There's not enough space. So it's okay for me to do my uppercase letter right here because I'm starting a brand new sentence. So I might say, sometimes they play what's another good game to play? Let's pretend. Y'all really like to play doggies on the playground. Maybe they like to play doggies in their fort. So sometimes they play. I started to write what letter? Bouncy bin. That's not the right way to write d like in dog. The tail feathers aren't facing the right way, so I need to try again. Sometimes they play doggies in, I gotta move to a new line, but I'm not going to use a capital letter yet because I'm still in the middle of what I'm trying to say. So sometimes they play doggies in their fort. All right, and I remembered my period at the end. I think I did pretty good. So let's see. So sometimes, and I started with my capital S, good. Sometimes they play doggies in their fort. All right, now I'm gonna read my story to make sure it all makes sense, and then I'm gonna draw my picture. All right, so these kids built a fort on top of a mountain. They have a house, but built this fort for fun. They like to play house in their fort. Sometimes they play doggies in their fort. All right, I think my story makes sense. So now I'm going to start drawing my picture. Alright, I've got my drawing done and it matches my story because I've got my mountains in it. I've got them playing doggies, I've got them playing house, and they're playing pretend and it matches what I wrote. Alright, so let's see. I'm so excited to see what you guys write this week and next week, but just remember to start every sentence with a capital letter or name. You can use capital letters for names too. Make sure you use spaces between your words. You can use your finger or your pen or an extra pencil. That could be a good way to use space between your words. And make sure your letters are sitting in the right places on the lines. And end every sentence with some sort of punctuation. It can be a period, exclamation point, or a question mark if you're asking a question. All right. I'm excited to see what you guys write. Bye.